going to pivot to a couple of questions related to defense, and we'll start with you, Shamari. How should Congress allocate defense spending to enhance emerging capabilities like cyber warfare, artificial intelligence, and missile defense to counter potential threats to our national security?
Look, we live in a technologically, a very fast-paced technological environment, and the scope and the manner in which conflicts play out now are different than they were 10 years ago, 20 years ago, even 30 years ago. And so our capabilities, our defense capabilities, have to acknowledge that and have to incorporate that into how we are preparing, how we are making the investments. We have seen here over the last several years that cyber warfare is a real thing. It is something that we have to guard against, because through the internet we can have our most basic capabilities attacked and crippled in the form of our electrical grid, in the form of our banking systems, in the form of our water systems and other utility systems. So we have to make sure that we're making the appropriate level investments at every single level. We cannot take for granted. We cannot take for granted that even though we may have the best fighting force, that we do not need to make the advancements and the investments, the appropriate level investments into the future of what warfare unfortunately looks like. And so in Congress, I would make sure that we were being informed, make sure that we were taking a responsible approach to adapting to the modern nature of how conflict exists and how other countries are going to attack us and have attacked us. And so that is what we would do, and that's what we have to do, and appropriations must reflect that priority.
Thank you. Caroline.
I'm the proud granddaughter of 2 World War II veterans. My grandfather was injured in Guadalcanal, was a Marine. My grandmother was an Army intelligence. She was one of the first 100 women sent to the South Pacific, having grown up in rural Holly Pond, Alabama, and North Alabama. I grew up with an appreciation for our service members. Right now, we're doing a disservice in that we're not providing them the technology and the equipment that they need to be competitive in this state of global cyber warfare. So I will fight for funding for cyber warfare, for artificial intelligence, to utilize that to make sure that our servicemen are as well equipped as possible to protect our country. But if you talk to any of our service members, that's only part of the problem. There's a huge morale issue. Last year, according to the Department of Defense's own website, the combined branches of the military missed their recruiting targets by 41,000 troops. Part of this is because we are not providing our servicemen and women with up-to-date technology and equipment. Again, this district provides a lot of opportunity for ensuring that we can catch up on that front. Another issue is that we're not treating our veterans with the respect they deserve and giving them access to the services that they need. We have 62,000 veterans in District 2 alone. Many of them have to travel out of state to get services, to seek treatment for just basic medical needs, and we have to do a better job of that. We also have to implement clear and simple rules of engagement. I was in Huntsville earlier this week, and anyone there will tell you, so many veterans will say that this administration is more concerned with socially engineering service members than making them combat ready. And I will fight to ensure that we're supporting our military on all fronts.
Thank you. Caroline, and then Shamari. What policies or initiatives do you propose to protect and defend our local military installations from potential downsizing or closure while ensuring their strategic importance and contribution to national defense?
Well, again, I think as we've seen with the attacks yesterday, our world is at war. Maxwell Air Force Base is one of the 5 pearls of the Air Force. It is vital to ensuring that our country is secure. The Air National Guard as well, the F-35 here, it is so essential. I know a lot of us think National Guard and think, how long does that take to mobilize? An F-35 Air National Guard can be ready to go in 72 hours. And when it comes to China, the question is not if, but when. So Montgomery, this district, plays a vital role in protecting our national security and really protecting the free world. There are two ways to support Maxwell. One is to ensure that we are supporting our military, keeping it growing and thriving, continuing to support programs like the War College here. But in order to retain Maxwell here and help it flourish, we also have to make sure that this district is one that's attractive for military spouses, that there are opportunities for military children. That means that we have got to address the education crisis in this district and in this community. It means that we have got to create jobs. We've got to combat inflation. We have got to get our economy back on track, stop reckless government spending, and instead invest in solutions that are going to bring about change for this community. You know, when it comes to Maxwell Air Force Base, I know a lot of folks that are stationed here and don't bring their families. In order to continue the health of this base and our community, we have got to make sure that our service members have the highest quality of education for their children, that they have the choice in providing that, and that their spouses have good paying jobs right here in this district.
Thank you. Shamari?
I think the answer to that question starts with understanding the local communities in which the bases impact and how they are incorporated into our local economies. And so that starts with a very strong partnership at the state and local level. That starts with being able to sit down with Montgomery Mayor Stephen Reed and going over and sitting down with Phoenix City Mayor Eddie Lowe and getting an understanding from them. How can we leverage Congress? How can we leverage what we can do to further incorporate the positive impacts that the bases can have? What are the problems you hear locally that the people on the base wish they had solutions to, that know that they could grow and become more vibrant in an even greater part of the community? I know here in Montgomery, for instance, Maxwell Gunter is a pillar of this community. We have to lose it. Montgomery cannot, we have to keep it. We cannot lose Maxwell Gunter. We cannot. There's too much from a national security perspective that's implicated here. There's too much from a local economy perspective here, that we have to go to Washington, D.C. and make sure that we're doing every single thing in our power to grow the influence of Maxwell Gunter. It is something that has impact beyond just Montgomery. It is regional. It is statewide. So therefore, in Washington, whether or not I'm fortunate or not enough to end up on Armed Services Committee, I will be the biggest advocate, the biggest cheerleader for working with the Department of Defense to see what are the new programs on the horizon, what are those programs that are currently being implemented and run out of other military bases that where you are thinking of either expanding or relocating and would like to come to an environment that is used to actually facilitating that. I will be the biggest recruiter for that, to bring more of those instrumental programs, particularly those programs. We just talked about cyber warfare and the future of warfare, what it looks like. We have to make sure that Montgomery and Maxwell Gunter and this District 2, has a place, has a role in that future of what warfare looks like, and preparing this country and this state and this district to be prepared and be ready for.